start.
My name is Juan Bernal. I am a painter from Colombia. My work is about the beauty of nature and the importance of preserving nature. Ever since I was a little kid, I am always in love with the beauty of nature, and that is my work. I am an architect, and my background is as an architect. And as you can see, my work is the work of an architect. My paintings are the paintings of an architect because of the axis, the structure. I study the structure of nature, and I recreate it in my compositions. Right now I'm working with a mixed media technique, which is photography and painting. So in these pieces, there is a fragment of a photograph, one of my photographs that I print in canvas, and then I paint around it. So in this piece that you see here, this part is a photograph and this part is painting. So as you can see, it's like the reconstruction of a fragment of a photograph as if you found it in an old Pompeia destructed, like a part of a tile. And I try to reconstruct the image from the photograph, from a fragment of the element to the whole piece. So this is a herbera. This is the Israel national flower, Anemona coronaria, which is a variety of a poppy. And this piece doesn't have any photography. This is 100% painting. And it's work from nature. It's try to be very natural. I only add identifying my languages are the droplets. The droplets are the elements that give the whole work like a cohesive, ties it everything. So this is very personal part of my painting language are my water droplets, as you can see. This is also a water lily. So this piece doesn't have photography either. This is only painting. I work from my photographs. I do a lot of photography, and based on my photographs, I create my paintings. But as you can see, it's very determined by axis, and the whole design of the composition. It's a little bit reinterpreted by me. It's not exactly natural. I mean, I'm very, as you can see, the drawing, the lines are very pure. I am very concerned with the drawing and the drafting, which is part of the architectural discipline. This is a rose with dew, and it's got an ant. It's part of the same idea. I started working as a natural landscape, mainstream landscape, and I always thought that when you hang a piece in your house, it's like opening a window to a landscape. But as I evolved in my work, I have gotten closer to the subject, and I am very much into close-up. Every time, the more I work, the more I get into the close-up of the elements, trying to search for the structure and the designs of nature in all these elements that are almost microscopic, that you never take time to observe or look at them. See, in this piece, this is maybe the first piece that I made with photography and painting. As you can see, this fragment, it's a fragment of one of my photographs printed in canvas, and then I paint around it. This is one of the first works that I did with that technique. I kind of started discovering the possibilities of this technique, but I thought that at the end, the photograph got lost in the work. And if you look at it at first glance, you don't see the photograph. So in my later pieces, I am trying to leave the photograph a little bit more breathing room, so that you can really identify which part of the painting is painting and which part of the work is photograph. In this piece, you can see the photograph a little bit more. And in my later works, I try to leave the photograph even more independent from the work. This is a dahlia, and this is another dahlia, which is an earlier piece than that one. In this one, you can also see the photograph here, and the photograph kind of got a little bit lost, which is it was my idea. My original idea was to make the painting so good that it's a perfect reproduction of nature. I wanted the photograph to get lost in the work. But as I evolved, I discovered that it was more interesting for me to leave the photographs a little bit more independent in the works, and that's what I'm doing right now with these other pieces that are over here, in which I even leave them alone in a triptych. This is one piece, and this is 3 elements, and this element is basically only the photograph. It's just the photograph. This is a little bit of touch of paint, but basically I'm trying to leave the photograph in a separate canvas and do the painting in the other 2 canvases. These 3 pieces are maybe the latest pieces, the latter ones, the last ones that I did, in which I've always been surprised by when I'm working in my studio. Sometimes I get so high, let's say, give it a term, that when I come down back to earth, I am always surprised of how from the palette where I mix the colors is such a chaos. It's a real mess. Could get something as clean as it comes out in the painting. These 3 works have the same philosophy, is that from the perfection of the photograph, an artist can recreate and try to be perfect, but I also wanted to leave part of the work as very painterly, almost as drips of paint. And you can see how the paint, which is a piece of drips of paint that say nothing. That is, when you look at the palette, basically almost you can see something like this, and then from this you come to almost like perfection. I mean, perfection doesn't exist, but it's as close as a human being can reproduce the forms and the colors of nature. So this is basically the same idea. From the photograph, which is supposed to be nature's creation, I respect the photograph. I don't touch the photograph. The photograph is 100% natural. And from there I start trying to reproduce the photograph, and then at the end it becomes totally painterly. It's like the whole process of perfection to deconstruction of the drips of paint. And this is the last 4 pieces of the exhibition. This is a piece that it doesn't have a photograph either. I'm very fond of this. I love the water droplet effects, which is they act as magnifying glasses. When you're looking at something with a magnifying glass, the water droplets magnify and illuminate. The other thing that is very important about my work, my search in my work, is the way how light strikes the water droplet, and you can see how the light illuminates the surroundings of the painting. As the light strikes the water droplets, it illuminates some parts and makes things look bigger than what they are. So it's like a magnifying glass. This is another piece. This is a Colombian national flower. This is the orchid. This is also one of the first pieces that I did, in which I have the photograph here and the painting around it. This is one of the latter ones too, in which I try to leave the photograph very independent from the piece. If you can see this piece, you can even separate it. It's 3 separate pieces. This part of the left is just a photograph as it is, and this is just painting. And this is the cyclamen, which used to be the Israel national flower until 2007, I think it was. And this is also a piece that I made especially for this show in Israel. This piece and the Anemona coronaria, the one on the left there, are 2 of Israel's varieties of species, botanical species. So basically, that is all.
Thank you very much.